So by clicking on this video, I'm assuming your self-confidence is not very high. On a scale of 0 to 10, you're probably rating yourself anywhere between a 2 and 6 because you think you've got no raise. And when your self-confidence is this low, you're likely to make two fatal mistakes. Number 1, fear of attractive people. If you see someone that you perceive as really attractive, really cute, a 10 out of 10, you tend to not approach them because you think you don't stand any chance. Why would someone this attractive ever go out with a loser like me? Well, big mistake. In this video, I'll explain why you should not be thinking this way. In fact, you do stand a chance, a pretty decent chance actually. And I'm not saying this as some fluffy BS motivational talk. There's actually mathematical evidence that supports my point. So by not asking hot people out, you're actually missing out big times. The second mistake, which is not as prevalent as the first mistake, something a small portion of you guys will do, is that some of you tend to target younger, more innocent-looking people who don't seem to have any dating experience, because you think that if someone is naive and inexperienced in the dating world, they probably won't be as picky, so you might stand a bigger chance. Now, not only is this act kind of creepy, mathematically speaking, you're also very likely to fail. Younger people with no dating experience are actually less likely to go out with someone mid. So in this video, allow me to explain why you should not sell yourself short. Even if objectively you are a loser and have no charm, you still have a good chance to get a good partner, and there are practical tips you can start applying today to max out your chances. Alright, so this whole like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, have raised, not have raised thing is only relevant to first impressions. But first impressions only play a limited role in actual dating. It can perhaps decide whether to form a crush on someone, but not so much on actually forming a relationship. Because most people don't just jump into a relationship after seeing someone's face for the first time. There's got to be some kind of interaction. Like if you observe couple friends around you, you'll probably agree that most couples decide to become couples after at least going through some kind of flirting/dating phase, right? Now, because time is limited, a person cannot possibly have the time to date every single potential candidate and then decide who's the best. Even if hypothetically this person had that time, there's also the limitation of not being able to turn back. Let's say Peter shows interest in Lisa. Lisa believes there might be someone better around the corner, so she turns Peter down. But later, after interacting with others, she realized that Peter is in fact the best candidate. However, at this point, it's difficult to turn back and recall Peter because A, Peter might already be with someone else, and B, is just not good etiquette and like doesn't reflect well on her character. So at some point, she will have to settle for someone she thinks is good enough due to all these limitations. However, if you want to pursue this girl, her limitations can work to your advantage. How? Well, to understand how, we need to first put ourselves in the shoes of this girl. Let's say you're this girl and you're really looking to get into a relationship. Is there some kind of strategy that can maximize your chance of finding the best candidate? Let's say you have two candidates to choose from. So person 1, person 2. Between these two, one is better boyfriend material than the other. So one is good and the other is less good. Problem is, you don't know who's going to be the better boyfriend right off the bat. You only know once you take the time to date them each individually. And you cannot predict the future, so you don't know if the second person will be better than the first. And remember, no turning back. So you kind of have to make the decision between whether to settle for the first person or reject the first person, believing that the second one will be better. So here are the probability outcomes. If you choose to settle for person 1 can be either good or less good, each at a 50% chance. So the probability of you picking the better candidate is 50%. If you choose to wait out and pick person 2, again, person 2 can be either good or less good. So the probability of you picking the better candidate is still 50%, which means in this scenario, it doesn't really matter how you choose. Whether you cash in on the first person or wait out for the second person, it's the same probability. Now, what if there are 3 people, 3 candidates to choose? Because we have 3 people now, we will use good, mid, and bad to represent the goodness level. So good is the best one. And here is the probability outcome. Now, if you decide to settle for the first person, the probability of you picking the best candidate, aka picking good, is 2 times out of 6 times. So 2 out of 6, which is 1/3 of a probability. If you choose to wait out until the end, believing that the last person will be better, then the probability of you picking the best candidate is also 2 times out of 6 times. So again, 1/3 probability. However, there's another way of choosing using that will get you a higher probability, which is you reject the first person no matter what. Instead, you use him as a sample, a testing object. Then you move on to the next person. If the next person is better than the first person, you accept this person. If the next person is worse than the first person, you move on to the next one, person 3. Now, because person 3 is the last person, you have to accept him no matter what. In other words, use the first person as a sample, accept the very first person that's better than the sample. And if unfortunately nobody is better than the sample, then you just have to accept the last person. Alright, so using person 1 as a sample, we reject him and start with person 2. Mid is worse than good, so we move on to person 3. We get bad, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do, so just have to accept him. Bad is worse than good, so we move on to person 3 and get mid. Good is better than mid, so we accept this person right away. Bad is worse than mid, so we move on to the next person and get good. Good is better than bad, so we accept this right away. Mid is better than bad, so we accept this right away. So the probability of us getting good is actually 3 times out of 6 times, so 1/2, which is higher than the 1/3 probability from previously, which means this is the best strategy in this scenario. If the number of people is 3, you treat the first person as a testing subject. Now, what if there are 4 people, 5 people, or 10 people, 100 people? So mathematicians have found out that if you date 5 people, then you should treat the first 2 people as a sample. If you date 10 people, then you should treat the first 3 people as a sample. If you date 100 people, then you should treat the first 37 people as your sample. This is the optimal stopping theory in math, and some call it the 37% rule. So if you're this girl, your best strategy is to first estimate how many people you'll date. Let's say you start in January and you plan to get a boyfriend by May, and each dating period lasts for roughly 2 weeks. In that case, you'll date about 10 people. Then you should reject the first 37%, which is the first 3 people, and treat them as your sample. Then you should get together with the next person that's better than the previous 3. Now, knowing this, if you're a guy trying to pursue this girl, what should you do? First is to avoid being placed in the sample area, which is why, as I said at the beginning of this video, you should not approach younger girls who lack dating experience, because if you are the very first person she dates, she will likely treat you as a sample. And also why pursuing attractive people actually has a decent success rate, because the likelihood of them already having dated a few times is quite high, so you are likely already outside the sample area. The second thing is to try to be the very first person that pursues her outside the sample area. Your best chance lies when she's done with her last dating episode and the person she dated is a terrible douchebag. The third thing is to improve yourself and strive to be better than the 37%, which is actually a quite achievable goal. Like, we're not aiming to be the top 10% or anything like that. We're just trying to be better than like 1/3 of others. And this can be broken down into 3 aspects: looks, personality, and circumstances. Let's first talk about looks. Get a mirror, look into it, and ask yourself, do I look clean and tidy? I think having beards is a terrible idea, but if you insist on having beards, make it stylish. Don't make it look like you half shaved, okay? Also, do not get a bowl cut or a comb over. Nobody on this planet looks good in this. You might as well go with the shaved head. Even that is miles better than these 2 abominations. And once you pass the cleanness test, ask yourself if you can add a bit of style to your look. And I mean just a bit. You do not need to go crazy and get into those looks maxing regime. Remember, we only need to be better than the 37%. So for example, let's say you wear glasses and you think that's unattractive. You do not need to take them out to wear contacts or put on some kind of Princess Diary transformation. Instead, just style it up a bit and go with an academia look. Then let's talk about personality. Now, personality is obviously hard to change, not something that can be easily changed by just watching a 10-minute YouTube video. However, there's one thing I want to point out, which is that some personality traits may seem like a weakness, but if used wisely, it can serve as a strength. For example, not having self-confidence is widely perceived as a weakness. However, on the other side of the coin, it also says that you have less ego, that you're not full of yourself, and that can absolutely serve as a strength in dating. I know many of my female friends who have said that their biggest dating red flag is when someone has too much ego. Lastly, let's talk about circumstances, aka how you meet this person and what you guys do together. There's one type of circumstance that can work insanely in your favor, which is known as the suspension bridge effect in psychology. Once on a suspension bridge, people were more likely to feel attracted to the person who approached them. This is because the thrill and adrenaline of the shaky bridge were misattributed to romantic attraction. Now, obviously, do not take this the wrong way and do something that scares your date. What you can do, though, is to interact with this person in environments where there's something at stake. For example, instead of hanging out over a boring dinner where nothing is at stake, maybe work on a school project together, or go group camping where you have to figure out like what to eat to survive. When you have the experience of going through some kind of obstacles together, that might bond you guys a lot faster. I have friends who got together through being in the same school club and having to work through event deadlines together. I also have friends who got together through outdoor camping. So if you're someone awkward with traditional ways of dating such as dinners and movies, maybe try these other things instead. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.